and now 65% contained. 2,106 personnel, that includes 47 hand crews, 112 engines, 14 dozers, 17 helicopters, and 13 water tenders. To kick us off this evening, we have Theresa Benson for Supervisor for the Sequoia National Forest.
Good evening, everyone. Theresa Benson, the Forest Supervisor for the Sequoia National Forest. And I want to start out by saying how happy I am to see that we are at 65% contained. We've been working on this firefight now for 3.5 weeks, and the great work Team 5 has done for us has really shown with this containment going up, and they've just been terrific to work with. Just really working hard with all of our partners to bring this together and get us to the full containment on this fire. I wanted to share with you what we've been able to start working on with regards to the assessment of our sequoia groves that have been affected by the Windy Fire. We haven't gotten to talk a whole lot about this to date, but I just wanted to give you a real brief snapshot because this is the Giant Sequoia National Monument. And you'll see on the map here that we actually have the groves pointed out on the map that have been affected by the Windy Fire. They've got the green around them. So the groves number, there's 11 groves that have been affected by the Windy Fire. And right now we don't know what the impacts to each grove is yet, but we're in the process of assessing that. And we also have a Sequoia task force that's been assigned under the fire operations to do what we're calling Sequoia first aid. We have a giant Sequoia specialist here from Yosemite National Park that's leading that up, Garrett Dickman. And we're gaining information every day on the groves and the effects. So what I wanted to share with you is that that information will be starting to become available in the coming days. I just want to thank you also for your kindness and your patience during this fire. We really appreciate the kind words that you've been sharing about the firefighters. You know, folks have been coming here from all over the country. We have all of our local firefighters, but we have a lot of people who have come to help us from many places across the country and just have really appreciated what you've been sharing about your thankfulness and gratitude to them. For our firefighters, our law enforcement, our first responders, the great job with air support that we've had. And so thank you to all of the folks that have been supporting us through this almost 4 weeks of a firefight.
Great, thank you, Theresa. Up next, we're going to bring our operational section chief up, Ernie Villa.
And good evening, everybody. Ernie Villa, a planning ops trainee here with California Incident Management Team 5. So I'll give you a quick update where we're at now. Everything here along the Western Divide Highway heading north and then south behind Ponderosa here, everything's looking good. We continue to mop up and secure in this area to strengthen the line. Coming back into the Lloyd Road here, everything's holding well, and we continue to tactical patrol that area coming all the way back into Camp Whitsett here. As you come back in towards Johnsondale and the Mountain 99 corridor here, everything's looking really good. We continue to mop up and find some heat sources interior of the fire, but everything along the line's looking real well. From the back end of Johnsondale here, heading south, the crews were able to make pretty good progress coming out towards Spees Ridge. And then from where they ended there, the terrain in this section here is, we won't be able to get in there due to the terrain. Down here near Tobias Creek and Ant Canyon, we still had some fire activity. We were able to utilize the retardant base that's positioned here out of Fairview, and we were able to put multiple drops on a short turnaround to cool those areas off. We have crews looking at the trail system that parallels the Kern River here on the Whiskey Flat Trail. They'll continue to look at that as an option to continue to prep for possible containment feature in the future. Coming further down to the south near Baker Point, the hand crews looked at the potential to go a little bit more direct here, and they're hitting a spot here near Baker Peak where the ground gets pretty unfavorable for them. They'll continue to work aircraft in that area there. Hopefully we'll still continue to have good air through tomorrow. And then coming along the southern edge of the fire here, we still have good containment on all the spot fires that spotted out into the cedar fire. And then we had containment along this line. We'll continue to tactical patrol in that area. Coming over here in this open section of line here near Sugarloaf Village, we continue to mop up and secure. This fire's actually up on the slope here. It's a little bit tougher ground for them to work in, so they'll continue to work on this and gain containment over the next few days. Coming into the back end here of Sugarloaf along the 16 road, everything is still holding pretty well. They'll continue to mop up and secure in this area for the next few days. And as they come out over in this section here, we did have a piece of fire that slopped over our line, and they were able to get in there with aircraft today too and get line back around that. They probably have another day or so through tonight, and tomorrow they'll continue to mop up, and we should be able to show some more containment here in the next day or so. As we continue along the line here, everything's looking well. We continue to mop up and secure, coming to the back end of Hot Springs and around. And then in between Mountain 50 Road here, where we had direct hand line, everything's holding well. We'll continue to mop up and secure. As we come out a little bit further, we did have direct hand line that came out here towards Mary's Creek and Cold Springs Creek. And then pretty much from the end of this black line here, this piece of ground right here, we're pretty much don't have an option to go direct anymore. We will have a new division coming out here that'll be looking at the indirect dozer lines back into Lone Pine Mountain here. So they'll be looking at that for a day or so, getting their feet on the ground, getting intel for what they're working with, and then we'll be developing a firing plan to potentially back that fire down towards our containment lines. Over here on the Tulare here, we started aerial ignitions yesterday, and we got the fire backing in a backing motion coming down the ridge lines. And then they started a hand firing operation right here where there's a dozer line that comes back into the road system here. So they started that this evening or today and through the evening, and that will continue to back into the road systems. We'll use the drone out here tomorrow to try to encourage that fire to keep it even in a backing position, and it'll continue to back into the containment features that we've identified out here indirect. Coming back along the main edge here, everything's holding very well. We'll continue to mop up and secure this whole edge back into the 212 road, and then everything coming up the dozer line back into the 2 1/4 road all the way back up to the top here is looking really well. We'll continue to mop up and secure, and then up in this corner here we have a little bit of a heat signature. It's going to be adjacent to the dozer line and then right along the burn scar from the castle fire. So we will keep eyes on that. This section in here is pretty much patrolled by aircraft and vantage points, and then it comes back into the western divide. Other than that, that'll end the report.
Great, thank you, Ernie. Appreciate that. We really want to thank Ernie for all the hard work he's been doing. Everyone's really been appreciative of the updates he's been giving every morning on Facebook, so I just want to give him a big thank you for that. Next up is our incident meteorologist, Father Ming Kurtzen.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Philemon Gertzen, and I am an incident meteorologist trainee with the National Weather Service assigned here to the Windy Fire. And just in case you're wondering, what is an incident meteorologist? We are a specially trained group of meteorologists that goes out with incident management teams to provide highly detailed, specific forecasts for the situation they're dealing with, whether it be a wildfire or some other natural or man-made disaster. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and talk about the weather. We've had a strong area of high pressure over us for the last several days, and that's resulted in very warm and dry conditions across our area. And the winds have generally been light as well, and that's resulted in a lot of that smoke just hanging around. Relative humidities have been very low, both during the day and at night. We've been seeing humidities down to around 5 to 15% during the day, and only recovering into the teens and 20s at night, and that is very low. So as we look ahead, we're going to start seeing this high pressure ridge gradually breaking down. We'll have a disturbance passing through Southern California tomorrow, and as that occurs, we'll see more clouds and moving over our area, and that will keep us a little cooler. It'll keep our humidities a little higher, so that's the start of a trend that will continue as we head into Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We'll see that ridge continuing to gradually break down, and we'll see moistening and cooling of the air mass. And then as we head into Thursday night and Friday, we actually have a fairly strong cold front coming through, and that will bring us the potential for at least some light rain across portions of the fire. So wind-wise, the winds aren't looking too strong early in the week, but as that cold front comes in, we'll see those winds increasing. Now the cooling temperatures and the rising humidities should offset any effects of the wind. But the good thing about that wind coming up, especially by Thursday into Friday, is that it will help to clean out that smoke that's lingering over our area. That's it for weather.
Great, thank you, Fireman. I really appreciate that. Next up, we're going to have our fire behavior analyst with Jeff Shelton.
Good evening, Jeff Shelton, Team 5 Fire Behavior. So my job with the team is to inform our operations on the best tactics and strategy based on fire behavior, the intensity and the speed that the fire will be covering. So that's what we're going to talk about this evening. The current heat profile, as we're looking at the fire, these areas that you see in red are the areas that are kind of persistent and pushing back on us a little bit as we try to gain containment in these areas. The fire, remains fuels driven, which means that the fire is continually moving through a heavy fuel bed, and that's what's continuing this fire day and night throughout the last 3.5 weeks. The fuels that the fire has available to it are all sizes, from the grass all the way to the timber. But what it's really taken advantage of is the bug kill that's been in this area. There's a lot of standing dead. There's also a lot of dead material on the ground. And it's predominantly really where the fire footprint is, because what has kind of helped this fire stall out on the south side, on the east side, and the north side are some fire footprints in the last 5 to 10 years. You have the Cedar Fire, the McNally Fire was 2002, but the fuels are vastly changed. The Castle Fire, the Pier, and so those fires really have kind of helped remove some of the potential out of the fire. But this fire has just followed this long stringer, this belt of really heavy material that has very little fire history in it. The fire, because it's been sitting in a position where we've had this consistently dry air day and night for several days, is burning really 24/7. It's not taking a break. Normally at night we get a little higher relative humidity recovery, and then the fire slows down. But in the last several days that we haven't seen that. Everything that is on fire is staying on fire and consuming. And that's one of the reasons why you're having all this smoke production, is that the fire's working 24/7. So as we look at where the fire is now and where our strategy and tactics are, the whole thing with a fuels-driven fire is we would need to remove that stored energy from the landscape. And we can do that several different ways. We can build fire line, which the fire comes up to that line, it starves of fire, and then from energy, and then it goes out. The other way we can do is we can place fire tactically and remove that energy in front of the fire and do that effectively. And that's what we're doing, kind of a combination of those strategies. We're trying to go direct where we can, indirect where possible, just because the terrain, the fuel loading just don't allow us to get up and do what we would do in these areas. If you're wondering why can't we just go direct here, the terrain is just inhospitable. The amount of energy that's sitting on the ground there isn't possible for us to employ that. So in the areas that you see here, and you talk about dozer line and how it's out here, that fire is going to move to an area where the fuels are much more favorable. A lot of it's been grazed out from the cattle, and so once it gets to that area, then we'll be able to pick it up rather easily. And so using fire in a managed way that we back the fire down incrementally, and you heard operations talk about using a drone. We actually have a drone that can drop these small little balls that then release a little flame from them, and we could do that super precisely because it's controlled from something as simple as an iPad or a computer, and we can place fire exactly where we want to be really light on the land as we go through that. So as we're employing some direct and indirect strategies, you can expect to see this black line slowly increase, but we still have another day or so of really dry weather. So you can expect to see more smoke as we continue to try to just pinch this fire off and hopefully bring some sense of normalcy back to you in the next couple days. As for a seasonal position, like when is this fire season going to end? From all the indices that we look at, all the statistics, the fire usually season in this area peaks off right about mid-September, but it's not a rapid decline, it's a slow decline. And so eventually we'll have things what we call season slowing events, where you'll have some rain, maybe a splash of snow at the higher elevations, and then that'll kind of take some energy out of it, and then you'll have what they call a season ending event. And those are the type of weather phenomena that we're hoping to see in the next week. This, I will think, will be a good season slowing event, but I don't think we're done quite yet until the larger fuels, which we had about a third of the precipitation we normally have this last winter, they get some real heavy soaking that they're not available to burn anymore. So thank you for your attention. If you have questions and that they're not going to be answered tonight, get them to our PIO and I'll answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that. Next up, we're going to bring our Air Resource Advisor with Linda Chappell. Linda?
Thank you. Hi, I'm Linda Chappell. I'm the Air Resource Advisor here on the Windy Fire. And what my main job is working to help the public understand the impacts of smoke and what they can do to limit that impacts of smoke that they have. Obviously, smoke is a regular part of this part of the world. And so the last few days, as you've noticed, we've had increased amounts of smoke. Well, the expected weather over time may limit that, but in the short term, maybe not quite so much. So who's most susceptible to this smoke that we're experiencing? Well, mostly seniors, children because of their increased respiratory rates, pregnant women, and people with health challenges like a heart or lung disease, COPD, or asthma. So really, what can you do to limit these smoke impacts that will help you and your family? And what's recommended is close your windows, close your doors, use your air conditioner if you have one. If it doesn't have cooking or other particulates that would be introduced to that area, and put a small air purifier in there. And if you can spend some time there, that will help offset the impacts of the smoke that you've maybe experienced. If you are working outdoors, we recommend an N95 mask. They have the ability to limit that particulates for you, whereas a cloth mask is just, the holes are too big to limit that particulate coming out of smoke. So something that goes on, and if you need the information, we publish a daily smoke outlook in both English and Spanish, and those are on the California Smoke blog every day. And also, if you want further information, you can look at fire.airnow.gov. Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate that. Next up, we're going to have Tulare County Fire Chief Charlie Norman. Charlie? Chief Norman. There you go.
Thank you, Nate. Good evening, everybody. Just a brief update on behalf of Tulare County. First and foremost, I'd like to thank all of my Tulare County firefighters. They've been in this since September 9th on all of our incidents and just been doing a great job. And a lot of times what we don't realize when we handle these big campaign fires is we still run an annual call volume of about 15,000 calls a year. So in addition to these two large incidents, we still have a lot of call volume at home. Our number one priority is to serve you. Again, and then shout out as Theresa to reiterate what Theresa said, just thank you to all our local cooperators as well as our state and federal cooperators. Great news, Chief Riggi and I, my division chief, we went up and drove some of the area around Hot Springs today, and we have very good containment. I'm very confident in repopulating the areas of Pine Flat and California Hot Springs, and that will be at noon tomorrow. Noon. So just wanted to reiterate that since in my earlier error the other day. So all the power's on up there. It's great. So we'll get you back home as soon as possible. With that being said, as you go up, we will have the fire station open. They will have Red Cross there. All our personnel will be there to serve you. HHSA, our Health and Human Services staff, for supplies or anything that you may need will be at the station. And the number at the station is 661-548-6664. As you get home in the Hot Springs area, Pine Flat area, you're probably going to see wisps of smoke. You're going to see embers off in the distance. I feel very confident within driving that today that those are well inside the black. They're well inside our containment lines, so you can feel very safe in what you're doing. If you have a concern, obviously call 911 and we'll have the local fire station go out and check it out and make sure just that everybody's safe and secure, but I feel very secure with that. And as far as additional info, you have the Tulare County Fire Department website, the Sheriff's Office website, our Health and Human Services website, as well as the county website. With some of the structure loss, I know I've been on the phone with many of you that have lost structures, and we are very sorry, and we've worked as hard as we could to prevent the loss of those structures. And you just have my word that we really gave it all, and we continue to give that in addition to the K&P fire. We will get you back into those as soon as it is safely to do so. I don't want to be vague and ambiguous, but I mean, my hope would be to get you in there within the next week, but I really don't want to put a definitive timeline on that just because we don't have extra containment around that. We do have a damage assessment hotline, 559-802-9790. And I want to thank you for adhering to our evacuation orders and evacuation warnings. It's much appreciated. Our primary mission is just to keep you safe. If there's anything we can do for you, you have all my contact information. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Norman. Really appreciate that. Next up from from Tulare County Human Health and Services, we have Director Anita Ortiz.
All right, good evening. Make sure this is on, hopefully it is. All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me again this evening. Anita Ortiz, overseeing care and shelter for the Windy Fire. And thank you, Chief, for the update. We're gonna continue to have our temporary evacuation point open at the Porterville College. We're also offering congregate shelter with American Red Cross at that location. Beginning tomorrow at noon, as Chief shared with all of us, you can stop at Station 6 at the Tulare County Fire Station 6 and pick up cleaning kits and also fire kits that have been provided by American Red Cross, and they've been a great partner during this incident. We're also going to have safety tips available as well as you return to your home after a fire, so we encourage you to stop by and get any assistance that you may need there at the station. I also wanted to touch on our wildfire impact hotline that Chief spoke about at the 559-802-9790. That is open Monday through Friday, and that is from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and then on the weekends from 10 to 3. And I wanted to let you all know this evening that we are going to be working closely with our partners at the Tulare County Fire Department over the next few days and really look at those damage assessments. And we are going to give you our commitment that we are going to work very hard hard to get the latest information for all of you. We understand that we've had multiple phone calls, and at this time, we do not have the updated information, but our commitment to you is that we're going to work on that over the next few days. And as you call, if we do not have the current information, we will be asking for you to leave your information, and we will make sure to return your call. So we want to thank you for your patience during this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. Appreciate that. And to finish us off, we have our incident commander for our incident command team 5, Rick Young.
Thanks, Nate. So as Nate said at the beginning of this, we're very pleased to be able to announce we got 65% containment tonight. That's a significant increase in the last week, and it represents a lot of hard work by some very weary firefighters that are nearing the end of a very long fire season. But make no mistake, with over 200 miles of fire perimeter out there, there's still a lot of work to do. So I ask for your continued patience. Last week has been a pretty tough week around here. We've had numerous firefighter injuries, a couple significant. I'm happy to announce that all but one have been released from the hospital and returned home for continued rest and care, and the remaining firefighter we will continue to advocate for to ensure they get the very highest care. We begin to transition this week. We'll be transitioning Thursday morning to a Type 2 incident management organization. We already started discussions, so having 4 days to start this is a bit of a luxury, and I'm sure it'll lead to a very smooth and seamless transition. You know, our success hinges on the relationships that we establish and are pre-established when we get here. So we rely heavily on our cooperators. And I really want to once again recognize the Tulare County Fire Department and Tulare County Sheriff's Department for their outstanding communications and assistance. And then finally, on behalf of California Interagency Incident Management Team 5, thank you once again for your support while we've been here and your continued support and patience while we continue to work towards our goal of 100% containment. Be well.
Thank you, Chief. All right, so that concludes the formal portion of our presentation. Next, we're going to go into questions and answer some of those questions that were emailed to us and some ones that were submitted online this evening. First up, we're going to bring up Tulare County Sheriff Sergeant Randy Gunderman with some questions that were submitted for him.
Thank you, Nathan. My name is Sergeant Randy Gunderman with the Tulare County Sheriff's Office. On behalf of Sheriff Mike Boudreau and the men and women of the Tulare County Sheriff's Office, I just want to thank the hard work of the firefighters out there on the lines. They've done an outstanding job. Furthermore, I'd really like to extend thanks to California Incident Management Team 5. The transparency and level of communication with these guys has been outstanding. I can't thank them enough. As the Chief Norman alluded to, there are some questions regarding when people will be allowed into certain areas of the fire. He kind of touched on that. But one of the questions that was submitted basically concerns how some of these structures and residences will be secured until people can get back into them. Specifically the Sugarloaf Sawmill and Sugarloaf Mountain Park areas. So as you can expect, the Tulare County Sheriff's Office is committed to keeping your property safe. For that reason, we have put roadblocks in place. We are checking people's proof of residency upon entry. We are double staffing those in the evenings, which allows us to have a rove deputy to be able to go in and around these communities and check for people that aren't supposed to be there. Furthermore, we have our resident deputies that are up and around there. They know the area very well. They know who should be there. They know who should not be there. Those guys are also working the incident as well. And additionally, because of the relationships with Team 5 and the Tulare County Sheriff's Office, we were able to reach out to the Forest Service and gain some assistance from Forest Service law enforcement. So those are the steps that we've put in place. I thank you all for your questions and your attention this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sergeant. Appreciate that. Next, we've had some questions for operations, so we're going to bring Ernie back up.
And good evening. So I'll start off here with first question was explain the wrapping you put on the giant sequoias. It's not aluminum foil like I have seen in the comments. So I think, to my knowledge, we did not wrap any of the giant sequoias on this incident, but it did occur on the K&P complex. that's just to the north of us. And what that does is that material is reflects some of the radiant heat that comes off of the fire, and it basically helps reduce the temperature at which things will ignite. So it helps eliminate the potential for radiant heat to start a fire. And so with that, when you put that on there, it helps give you that item a better chance at surviving. And to my knowledge, I don't think we had any wrapped on this one here. The fire moved too fast. And then the next question is, what about the Spees cabin? I don't have specifics on the exact cabins, but we did lose some Forest Service infrastructure that's in that general area of the Spees Ridge there. I will try to confirm that for you, everybody, and get back to you. And then the next one is asking specific about the Sugarloaf Mountain Park at the back gate by Lions Road, and asking for a little bit more detail. So I believe the area that you're talking about will be up here inside the burn here, and to my knowledge, everything along that area was defended pretty well in this general area out here. The fire did make a pretty big push out here as we started transition. The first few days, the fire was pretty much hung up right here, and then the next day it made a pretty big push out here towards Deer Creek, and then the following day kind of came out here. The fire did spot out below here inside of the, I believe that's the Tobias Creek there, and yeah, in that area, we were able to get firefighters in around there, and then like they had a pretty tough firefight that whole time they were down in there in Sugarloaf. So I'll try to get more specific information to you, and thank you.
Thank you, Ernie. Appreciate you answering those questions for folks. Next up, with the last questions that we have of the evening, is going to be Theresa Benson, the Forest Supervisor.
All right, one of the questions that came in that I'm going to answer is there any update on the status of Pack Saddle Sequoia Grove? If not, do you know when and how it might be surveyed? So first of all, we have a giant sequoia specialist that's been working with us on the fire for the last couple of weeks, Garrett Dickman from Yosemite National Park. And what Garrett has been doing is working to try to get into each of the groves to do this kind of assessment. But what he reported to me today, this is when I wish I had Ernie's pointer. They were able to get into the area of Starvation Grove, but it's a really long road to get down into Pack Saddle. Pack Saddle is right down here. And they haven't been able to get into Pack Saddle Grove yet to do the assessment of that grove. We'll be able to get there when the trees along the road are cleared and we can get there safely. And then I got another question from another individual. Please provide update on the Sequoia Grove assessment, and has Deer Creek Grove been assessed? First, I'll address Deer Creek Grove. Deer Creek Grove is right down at the southern end of the fire here. This is actually the southernmost grove of all the groves that occur in the Sierra Nevada. So there's 70 groves. The northernmost grove is down the Tahoe National Forest, quite a ways away. There's just one isolated grove there. And then Deer Creek Grove is quite a ways from any of the other groves. We have not been able to get to Deer Creek Grove, but I found out today that the road going into that grove is now open for fire traffic. And so the plan is to actually go into that area tomorrow to do the assessment. And so lastly, I'll just provide that update on the assessment that we're doing on the groves that were affected. And I'll just tell you that we have been getting information coming in from our resource advisors in the field and from our giant sequoia specialist about the different groves. I won't go through each of them with you tonight. I will tell you that when we get that report completed, we'll be sharing that with the public. We're seeing a variety of different effects. And so some of the groves were affected at low intensity, and some of them were affected at moderate and very high intensity. So we are seeing loss of some of our sequoias, including some of the monarchs. We're also seeing that there are areas that it was more of an underburn where the fire stayed on the forest floor and did not burn the monarchs. And so it's going to take us some time to get that assessment done. and we're going to be dedicated to the next steps that will be taken to address the future needs of those groves. Lastly, the information team here told me that there's a lot of comments coming in during this meeting, thanking all of the firefighters and all of the support staff that help the firefighters be successful on the ground, like Team 5 and a lot of the other support that we get from our employees. And so we just want to thank you for supporting our firefighters and the hard work that they do. Like it was mentioned, the fire season in our area started back in May, really. So we're into I think it's about the 7th month. And I know the Forest Service folks, they've had a very long season, and all of the other agencies, local and state agencies, have too. People are feeling quite tired and looking forward to that potential for rain and snow. And so we just thank you for that support, and just really want to let you know that we care a lot about you too and your safety. And so we're just excited about the fact that you get to go back to your homes, and we're going to be working on all the next steps that this fire is going to require for it to be safe for you to be able to re-enter the forest area. So thanks so much.
Great. Thank you, Theresa. Appreciate you answering those questions. And those were all the questions we had for this evening. So I want to thank everyone again for joining us. Thank you for your comments. We will relay those to the firefighters tomorrow morning at our briefing and the evening briefing. Again, thank you from Team 5. You guys have a great Sunday evening.
Okay, I guess that's it for the meeting. Apologies, I was trying to set up the stream and I missed the first 2 minutes, but it was just an introduction, so we didn't actually miss any meat and potatoes, just, the salad. I apologize for being completely brain dead right now. I am really sore. With the window leak, I'm trying to prepare for the workmen to come in, and I've been doing heavy manual labor trying to move furniture and pretty much everything in my living room away from this area where the floor and wall has to be worked on. And then in the middle of this, my internet started burping, and so I'm just batting 1,000 right now. I wanted to at least show the community meeting for the Windy and do a video roundup, but I'm not really able to speak much due to my throat just being absolutely ragged. This is day 83 of live streaming almost every day in a row, almost every waking hour. Speaking for 14 hours a day in a row. It's really tough to continue stressing the vocal cords. So I'm also just experiencing extreme exhaustion from this whole affair. So I want to do video roundup because at least I don't have to speak very much. And the problem, just laying it out there, we'll have to adjourn after that. My ISP is cooperating with this construction going on all around the neighborhood, and so every single night there. Wow, that's a crazy lens flare. Look at Tobias Peak too. That's unusual. You don't see crazy nighttime fire lens flare effects on a camera that's infrared too often. It's kind of eerie. It's like a big cat's eye. But in every camera there's a series of actual lenses. Dang, that must be some extreme torching. Whoa. Every single camera lens has a series of, conical shaped, slightly curved lenses stacked behind each other. So when you see multiple, what looks like little O's and such, or C's or half circles, that's what that is. Now this is, oh my God. That's all kinds of, kind of frightening with the intensity of that. like just, I imagine that's perhaps group torching of some dead trees. Yowza. That's about all I have to say. Yeah, cool in a frightening kind of a way. Daytime, we would have rainbows because it'll kind of focus, white light. The sun's light is full of colors actually, and then it'll have a prism effect in the daytime mode. But that's pretty intense. Now, nighttime is when I want to do the roundup, when it's after 7:30 with the cameras and the videos, because during the daytime with all the smoke we just generally can't see anything. We generally can't hear anything because there's really no radio to turn on. Even if we see aircraft running around, we can't hear the pilots. Unfortunately, with Broadcastify, there has to be a volunteer ham radio operator in the areas of these fires who will constantly upload to the internet for us to kind of monitor like we normally do. And with the KNP and the Windy, we've heard almost nothing since they began on September 9th. So that's kind of how my voice got so trashed, is I was spending 14 hours a day again just speaking constantly. At least I could take breaks when there's radio going on, or I could walk away for 2 hours and come back. But most people are actually tuned in to listen to what's going on, and we'll tune out the moment that 40 seconds goes by without audio. So and that's when the incredible challenge with trying to cover the Windy and the KMP. Now the Windy, we just heard from the community update. In a nutshell, if you missed anything, there's some pretty sad news that they never had time to wrap any trees on the Windy. That just didn't really happen. That happened on the KMP, and I was shocked to hear that, but not down here in the Windy Fire. It's still fuels driven. Doesn't need wind to be pretty ferocious. In a couple of days, they're going to get much more humidity, which is going to be like not a knockout punch, but if you consider the fire a boxing match, that'll give it a nice uppercut to the jaw and stun it pretty good. That's what high humidity does, is kind of puts a leash on a fire. It'll be like, oh, Mom, do I have to go to bed? Yes, you do. It's not dead, but it's dampened. So this last couple of days we've had incredible problems because we've had single digit to like 13% humidity even at night. So it's been active and crazy at night, as you can see with the device speed camera and the others. So summing that up, is they've done spectacular on saving the communities. The west side of the Windy Fire is what you're going to see the containment numbers on. They're still struggling with protecting the reservation. It's a really steep terrain, but they have some bonuses, such as cattle grazed area, which has reduced the fuels, like the grassy type fuels in that area, which has helped them. They're still challenged in trying to figure out where to put the lines, but they're going to repopulate tomorrow. California Hot Springs and Pine Flat, I believe that one is, which is wonderful news. And it wasn't the sheriff, it was the actual fire chief of Tulare County who announced that he was feeling good about it. So if he looks like a very sharp fellow. I call him the Silver Fox. He's got an awesome sense of humor, like a meme kind of a face for comedy. He's been star of the show, like the Joker stealing the show from Batman at community meetings, like the initial ones originally. He does a good job of telling people the straight dope and yet kind of cheering them up with a little bit of clowning around, which was pretty awesome. I bet he's really good with kids, after a fire. But he took center stage and was pretty happy about how the situation is looking much better at California Hot Springs. Their backfires that they lit, which I think they're starting to just call strategic firing ops. Anyway, you get the idea. Fighting fire with fire. Yeah, when they had that stroke of good fortune, when the wind shifted away from the towns, they lit fires on the edge of it, and that created a scorched earth line. So that when the wind shifted back, it had not much to burn, and they were able to save most of the area down there. I think there were some structures impacted, I think, but I don't know what exactly. But to get people back in tomorrow would be pretty amazing. So what you're going to see is the west side of the Windy is going to have your containment percentage, and they've flat out said that the east portions of the KNP and the Windy may not even be staffed until they have a whole much better grip on what's going on in the western portion. There's not that much to save out there. There's not that much in as far as communities go, and the terrain becomes more brushy and such. And so they're focusing on the communities and the big tree grows as best they can. And that's the right kind of priority. They just don't have enough people. They have more than 1,000 on each fire now, at least, but they're still waiting for other resources to arrive. So they really can't be everywhere at once. They've also expressed that they can't really get to the center of these fires very easily. There's some places they just haven't really inspected except distantly from the air. So that's typical. There's a huge amount of smoke and very few roads. If you have very few roads, you kind of have a death trap kind of scenario. Firefighters don't want to go anywhere where they don't have multiple exits, or at least really good defensible spots where they can retreat to and live. In this kind of terrain and with this heavy smoke, you wouldn't see the flames coming at you. You would think that you can, but they'd be really right upon you before you knew it. The smoke hides it that well. We saw that time and time again where it looked normal on cameras, and we saw the Dixie fire in the Caldor, the FLIR images, the ones that look like this, that they would be completely smoky, but then you'd see, well, there was a 1,200 foot tall firewall off in the distance. Even though the regular cameras couldn't see past the smoke, this kind sees through them. But yet we don't have any vision like that on the KNP or the Windy. I just know of 4 of those in California that exist. Hopefully in the future they'll be able to put these around the landscape and see what they're doing and feel more confident moving about. But they're going to play it safe, and that's the correct course of action. They mentioned surprisingly 3 major injuries, hospitalizations. I'm sorry, I haven't been here all day monitoring the fires. This is catch up for today for you guys as much as myself, and I was really saddened to hear that. But I'm glad that they're being released from the hospital. That's, if anybody has the information, let me know about that. But they didn't really mention anything more than that. This is a horrible, deadly, potentially deadly kind of a job. They have had fatalities in the last decade in the same terrain that they keep talking about. So, they playing it safe is the correct course of action, definitely. So, without enough staff, the eastern sections of the KNP and the Windy are the ones that will be last priority and just may not. Honestly, they kind of basically said they may not really get containment around those areas. They just may have to wait for the rain and the snow. So that's sad, but that's basically the way they've been spelling it out the last couple of days. So I'm going to look away from that cam. Bear Mountain Fresno 1 is looking at the KNP. The KNP is looking worse than the Windy as far as containment and as far as structures at risk and activity. The KNP is kind of like a role reversal. It was dampened and kind of squelched a little bit because the Windy's immense smoke was smothering it in the past and giving it a smoke blanket. and that is no longer the case. So the K&P has been taken off last couple of days, and we keep seeing. Let me put Caltopo back here. The heat detections inch closer and closer to the Buck Rock Lookout. See right here? Let me get a better map, one that's not hideously ugly. Like Forest Service, here's the Buck Rock Lookout. And see how very close the flames are in nearby sectors, detecting, triggering the satellites less than 20 minutes ago. A reminder that each square here is a margin of error. So it's just somewhere within that gigantic, 5-mile radius, 5-mile square radius plus area, somewhere within this is at least probably 4 acres in size of fire, but it's really not pinpoint precision, I mean, as you can tell. But here's the Buck Rock Lookout right here, and so it's typically looking south. And, well, we just had a new pass of the satellite, looks like. Let's do a refresh, make sure. Yeah, so nighttime is when you can see the fire inching closer and closer. If we turn on shade relief, you can see now with a lot better clarity just how the fire, if it's from the south, can just kind of climb up to it and climb up to the ridge. Now it's on a rocky outcropping. However, there's just dead trees everywhere on the Buck Rock slope. We've seen it zoom out, and it's just like the other ones. It's kind of sad that dead trees and vegetation is allowed to grow right up next to historic lookouts, and they keep getting destroyed by fire. Don't get me started on that. What the heck kind of anger. But this is where I'm really concerned that the Buck Rock Lookout and the nearby Delilah Lookout might be in real and present danger. Tobias is, well, it's survived. We thought we were going to lose it last week, but if it's survived this long, hopefully it'll just continue to be the cat with 9 lives, or 8 by now. They worked it with a helicopter. Oh, that's Buck Rock. Let's go back down. Whoops. To Tobias, which is down there on the windy. That continues to be all kinds of alarming. I don't know if we're seeing group torching or what, but they were working that with a helicopter the last couple of days. Maybe Tobias Peak is still in danger. That's pretty horrible. So the KDOC says the K&P fire is shown from the ground webcam at the Christian camp. Thanks for that. I forgot to check that out. I guess was it yesterday we heard about it? Yeah, so this is the Heartland Christian camp. Hopefully, it's going to be okay. So is there a Ridge version? Heartland is under mandatory evac, I believe. And this is live. So heat and light is all white for an infrared cam, nighttime cam. So it's really hard to tell if you have street lights, if you have a fire, if you have the moonlight or whatever on a distance. I should probably stop the ad blocker. Okay, let's go to the Ridge cam. What are we looking at, KDOC? Is that the actual fire? Because I am not sure. I've just clicked on that for the first time. So, Buck Rock, is Buck Rock 2 pivots around, and Buck Rock 1 is facing southwest. That's an interesting choice right now. As the fire is approaching it from the south, It's almost facing due west. I was hoping it would pivot around and show us what's going on immediately. Oh, Buckrock 2, when it pivots, maybe we'll get an idea. So this is going to be just a video roundup. I'm supposed to not be talking much. My internet's also burping. It's not going to be completely on the level until Thursday, so we won't have nighttime streams until at least Thursday. We'll see how it goes. There's this massive tearing up the street kind of construction going on in the neighborhood. So, yeah, that's our Buckrock cam. We can look at number 2 and see if it'll pivot around to the south and what that'll be doing. Let me try to adjust something here. If the internet burps, since I keep having to look at things, if the internet burps and it goes buffering, just refresh and make sure you hit the live button. I'm very sorry about that. It's just struggling, especially in the nighttime hours. Okay, this looks a little bit better. And I apologize for that. Hey Z-Pro, how are you? So, yeah, this is looking at a different ridge with the Buckrock cam. As the fire approaches from the south, you would think that it would be concerned. There it is. It's looking almost due south now with that kind of camera angle. But Buckrock 2 is kind of different, on a different portion of the fire lookout. It's not just a tower, it's an actual fire lookout from like the 30s. You can see some of its wires, that these cables that anchor it to the ground for winds, I guess. And it can't see directly due south, I don't think. It seems like the rest of the lookout tower is in the way. And this pixelated stuff is probably the either sees into the window of the tower or the observation deck for privacy reasons. They will pixelate that if people ever show up very often on those areas. But yeah, what sucks about webcams is if you have a job like at security, you start scratching yourself and then you realize, oh no, I'm on camera. So I guess they're trying to minimize that. So looking back at other cams, Bear Mountain Fresno is super zoomed in. Everybody has to remember that about it. Bird Springs is showing a glow in the distance. Oh, and that's Bakersfield. Sorry, that's the wrong cam. That's city lights. Let's go back to any others. Shirley was kind of blank earlier. Wow, Tobias Peak 2. Let's do a Tobias Peak 2 time lapse. We're back on the. Sorry, we're switching between KNP and Windy, but they're somewhat close together. I mean, general region. Now that's not doing a good time lapse. Don't know if it's my internet or Alert Wildfire Cam. Sometimes, Tobias Peak cuts in and out. It does day after day. And if you ever have an interruption with doing your time lapse, it may have just been out for several hours and it gets kind of stuck on it. Wow, that is some extreme torching situation. So let's go to Tobias Peak 1 and Tobias Peak 2. That's all that's just mesmerizing. Here's a 3-hour time lapse. And it looked like it was pretty mild today. I kept looking at it as I was, doing my manual labor trying to fix up the area. But we saw some pretty alarming, massive group torching or whatever it is we were seeing. That was pretty intense on the camera. You see how the flame height it can be twice the height of the original tree that's on fire, and we're seeing quite a good example of that. And it even flips into daytime color mode because there's so much light hitting the camera. It occasionally thinks that it's daytime. So it's flipping back and forth. I don't know if the crews have come back to Tobias Peak. I wonder how this happened. Now remember, a lot of this is light. The actual flames here on camera mode, you see how there's just reddish in the clouds around here? That's the heat of the hot gases and the heat of the fire impregnating the smoke. So even though this looks like a massive flare-up, whoops, from one, I just screwed up the time lapse, sorry, from one moment to the next, a lot of that is light and heat, which the human eye can't see, but the infrared can. So let's go back to the chat. Did I miss anything? You guys seem to be just sort of talking amongst yourselves. That's okay. What my point was before I hit the wrong button was, despite a lot of that being infrared, I think we are seeing some pretty massive flame height at the point where it gets to like this point, because we're probably seeing group torching occur, which is really sad. But here, it's not an infrared. This is regular vision. So it's kind of blurry, but you can kind of see flamey outlines. At least I can on my monitor. I don't know how this is broadcasting. So something went up pretty good there. Poor trees, probably a bunch of standing dead snags all grouped together. So Tobias Peak 1 is looking distantly away, and here in the foreground, this is the smoldering landscape in front of Tobias Peak where the fire passed through. So I'm going to do a 3-hour Tobias Peak 1, and we'll go back and look at Buck Rock 2. It's struggling to do time lapses. Might be a good indication that I kind of just need to get off the air here. I wanted to do a video roundup. I'm not sure which other ones released. If you guys know, just tell me what to click. At this point, I'm exhausted. I've been doing manual labor all day, even though I was exhausted because we had a leak in the window, and crews are coming. What was that? What's this Duncan Ranch thing? May not be fire related. Let's go back to Buck Rock 2. Now, Buck Rock 2 may have gone out of rotation mode. I hope it's stationary. Yeah, last 15 minutes look like it's stationary. Now, looking due south, the fire is approaching from the south. I can't tell how far away it is because there's the actual lookout tower in front of the 1 cam, and the number 2 cam, and number 1 cam is looking to the southwest at a distant ridge line. So I wish it was pivoted south a little bit. Oh well. But we see how close the fire is getting to it here. At least, the heat detections. So let's go see. Let's see, Buck Rock. Right there. So, like I said, guys, this is a huge margin of error. It could just be this fire, you just don't know. Or it could be the entire thing. Whenever we see a satellite detection, it's not pinpoint accuracy. This is from the last heat detections on the 3rd. So this was 3 in the morning is where the fire was here. And so our current detection, it may not have moved much beyond this road. It could be beyond it or not. We have no idea unless they get up and explain something in a meeting or something. So we did watch the update for the windy. Let's see if we have a K&P video or meeting. Yeah, it looks like that was the Windy we watched. We had a weather update. Let's see, did they have a video today though? 2 hours ago there was an update. The KNP has been active, but firefighters have not been observing extreme fire behavior. Yay. Aircraft has been grounded because of heavy smoke. Fire activity is moderate in the Squirrel Creek area near Oriole Lake Road in the south, and the groves are not being negatively impacted. Yay. The tactical firing ops occurring in the northwest portion of the fire along the General's Highway down to the Little Baldy Saddle are designed to protect the lodges and recreational camps to the west of the highway. Okay, so is this where it is? Is this Little Baldy? Let's see. I would hope if this is control burning from the highway south, then that would be great. Yeah, it looks like that might be what this is. So wonderful. I'm glad that they gave us that update. So this is the General's Highway, and if this is their goal to keep it south of this line, then that would explain the heat detections right now. And maybe Buck Rock's gonna make it after all. So it's like that. What was it? Didn't Mary Tyler Moore have a show? You're gonna make it after all. We hope. So fingers crossed then. Let's go back and see what the other updates are. This is why we don't get our info from just one source. Not just satellites, not just cams, not just radio, but official announcements too. And also when we can, the media. But there's not been much media allowed in the KNP or the Windy because it's federal land, and they're like, we make the rules here. Whereas California has state rules that has, you have to accommodate the media. As long as they have a press pass and follow the law, fire crews have to allow them to work near them. But with the feds, they're like, beat it, punks. We'll decide who gets to go here, and not many journalists have been allowed in. Period. So 4 hours ago, prior to the last update, Sequoia and Kings National Park released a bulletin saying communication is critical to safe fire ops. Early on in this fire, the National Park Service helicopter flew 2 radio technicians to Paradise Ridge to install a temporary command radio repeater. This thing is used to extend the radio coverage in the mountainous terrain where line of sight between portable radios ain't possible. These types of repeaters are important on any large wildfire to ensure that blah blah blah, we can talk to each other, blah blah blah. And the KNP complex has deployed at least 3 of these radio repeaters throughout the fire and will install more as the need arises. Neat. So we get a view about what they look like. They kind of look like an airplane's black box, don't they? I hear they're actually orange. That looks like a little suitcase. They put it on this rocky outcropping. They want to put it up high and hopefully out of fire range. So that's pretty cool. And then I guess they have to stake them down because the high winds will just rip these things apart. So that's a pretty neat little helicopter too. So that's pretty neat, pretty awesome. I can share that one. There's big maps. Oh, infographic maps for the public. That's cool. So can we zoom? Oh yeah, we can zoom. That's pretty sweet. Oh, this is great. So in the northwest corner, structure protection efforts are ongoing in the communities of Esham and Heartland. And that's where the Christian camp camera is. Bugs says Kathryn is singing the Mary Tyler Moore theme song. Yeah, sorry, I just destroyed your eardrums, but I'll pay for the damages. Just send me the bill. Now over here by Weston Meadows, it says as conditions permit, crews will progress with tactical firing ops within the Redwood Mountain Grove and north of Cabin Creek along the Generals Highway. Cool. I think we're seeing that in progress. Then on the west side by the Christian camp, tactical firing ops continue over there. And then on the east side by the General Sherman area and the Giant Forest, firefighters on the eastern flank will continue securing this area while supporting strategic firing ops to the north. We did not have the fire climb the ridge up and attack it from the south. They did an amazing job blacklining it down there in one of the Sequoia forks. I can't remember which one that is. That's been spectacular. They also did a spectacular job saving Mineral King and Cabin Cove and a preserved ghost town called Silver City. They even had to evacuate for their own safety a few times, but they've held it north of Mineral King Road. That's just stellar. That's an incredible job. That is some incredibly steep terrain. So west of the park headquarters, it says firefighters in the west perimeter remain in the communities of Three Rivers and Ash Mountains as fire activity increases. And then where Mineral King meets Highway 198, it says firefighters continue indirect suppression tactics, improving Mineral King Road. Resources are being shifted to the community of Silver City and Mineral King, the town area, for structure protection as the fire continues to move south and east. This is awesome. You know, it doesn't take too long to make a little infographic like this, but I've been continuously impressed with this kind of Tulare County response to get information out to the public like this. This is amazing. So there's a weather update that was 8 hours ago. Basically, in a nutshell, it's going to get more moist by the end of the week, but not exactly rainy. Stay tuned, though. Sometime next week, there might be a little bit of precip. But like the nutshell summary of the last Windy Fire meeting was, the new humidity we're getting in the next couple of days will give an uppercut jab to the fires, but not knock them out. It'll just stagger them, so to speak. So it'll hurt them. Whoa, bears! What? This is the year of the bear, I swear. Cue the jokes. Of course, rain and heavy snow will be the knockout blow, but it'll be a good uppercut jab to the fires. I think what we're looking at is a cinnamon bear. Black bear with a brown coat. They're pretty rare, but not unheard of. And it has a standard colored black bear cub. I think it's a recessive gene. I don't know why the paws from the elbows down are dark. It might just be that they're wet or a shadow or something. But that's pretty incredible. Oh, look at that bobcat. Wow. And there's a little fork kind of looking worse for wear. But hopefully they're okay. Okay, we're not going to look at that. No spiders. This is a spider-free zone. I came across too many today. Trying to move the furniture. No. Okay. Hey there. So, one day ago, I was hoping this was a happy post. It's not. It said one day ago, take a moment to remember fallen firefighter Daniel Holmes and reflect on the lessons learned on that tragic day. He died on October 2nd, 2004, when the top of a burning snag fell, striking him on the head, resulting in fatal injuries. The accident occurred on the Grant West prescribed burn located in the Grant Grove area of Kings Canyon National Park. Daniel was an Arrowhead Interagency Hotshot crew member based at Sequoia Kings Canyon National Parks, and he was 26 years old. So yeah, very sad. I was hoping that was like a new calendar or something because it looked like such a happy picture. So yeah, we should never forget the sacrifices that and the danger that our firefighters and supporters are going through. So going back. Hey Frank and everybody here. Did I miss any questions? I'm just going to go through the meeting. The KMP complex meeting was yesterday. Didn't we look at it? I can't remember. I believe we looked at that yesterday. Now let's look back at the cams. I'm much less worried for Buck Rock right now, but Tobias Peak is kind of concerning. I don't know how zoomed in it is. So I wish that zoom level was imprinted somewhere, and so we know what is really threatening the lookout tower and what isn't. I mean, this could be across a canyon for all we know, or it could be at the base of the lookout tower. So it's just we'll continue to monitor that. Now, looking at the KNP, I think what we're seeing is mostly the control burning, as they described 2 hours ago. I mean, they made a post 2 hours ago. So that puts our minds at ease pretty well, or at least mine. Let's go to activity. Go back to our heat detections. Now would be the time to do it. After 8 p.m. Usually there's more humidity at night and winds die down, and they have the correct wind direction, which is downslope wind, which goes from the northeast to the southwest down the canyons. Down meaning, like, if you think about the Sierras being high altitude, down canyon is going towards the valley. That's what that means. So usually hot air rising means the hot air of the valley goes up and starts the wind going up into the mountains from the valley up. Yeah, at nighttime it reverses because cold air sinks and goes down to the valley. So as soon as they get that reversal, they can be confident pretty much throughout the entire night that the wind's going to go one direction, and that means that they can light a fire from the highway, this Kings Canyon Highway, which is their main fire line here, and have what they light go that way, and in a nice controlled manner. It won't kill adult trees. Very, very few of them it'll kill, but for the most part it'll just burn off the duff, the pine needles, and that sort of thing. And then during the day, when it reverses back, there will be like a strip of scorched earth here along the highway, meaning it would be way easier to hold that highway. So that's wonderful. The nice thing about the KNP and the Windy is they're the world's most polite fires at this point with this fire season. They're just like, okay, we'll have some winds happen, but we'll shift directions so frequently that we'll give you a break on all different sides of the fires. We'll just rotate which side of us gives you the break, but we'll do this in a pretty predictable way and do this for a certain amount of time. And so you can always attack the rear of us, and do what you please. And on schedule, the face will turn around. It's like a clock. If you think about a face, like where the hour hand is, it's like we're too fierce from this point here, and then this point. This is where the damaging parts of the fire is. But whenever we're doing this, you can always attack us on the other side here. We'll just sort of let that happen. We'll just slowly shift wind positions day after day, and you can always be on the other side doing what you will. And so that's been astounding. for the most part, we've got pretty round fires because of the way the wind is shifting like that. A round kind of a shape, and mostly a round kind of a shape. They connected right here, but you get the meaning here. So the same shape with the windy. Now you look at something like the Caldor, you look at something like the way the Dixie was when it was in the Feather River Canyon, and it has long fingers and such, and crab claws and that sort of thing. That's what happens when you have extremely high wind gusts. It'll just travel in one direction for a long way, but we have more roundy kind of a situation here. So we'll take it. It's not good. It's not good what the fires are doing, but we could have seen the most incredible far-reaching spread. We could have seen it reach mega fire status. We could have seen early Santa Anas with 65-mile-an-hour wind gusts. We could have seen mega pyrocumulus clouds and fire tornadoes. We could have seen it run for the valley already, and we didn't. So we can count our blessings. Hopefully we get heavy rains and snows before the Santa Anas. Now it's October. It's the season. It's October, November, December, and January. That's Santa Ana season. Just fingers crossed, guys, that we get some moisture before then. I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled with the amount of containment that they have on the west sides of these fires. More than I expected was possible. So just we gotta keep on the level and understand that we could definitely experience more loss. But right now it's swell. It's going pretty swell, and knock on wood, like furious knock on wood. So I'm pretty sure you meant bummed out, Husky. That's one heck of a typo. Oh my goodness. Accidental adult content, Husky. Oh dear. Yeah, nobody look at chat. That's one heck of a autocorrect there. I'm pretty sure that you meant you're bummed out that smoke from the Mexico fire is coming here to LA. That's what I think you meant. So let's go to the thanks, I needed that laugh. What was I doing? Yeah, what were we doing? All right. Here's the Christian Camp website, or webcam. That's at Heartland, and I think things are going pretty well. Knock on wood. We're just gonna put that under the K and P. Whoa, it's moving right now. That's not me moving it. Somebody can control this. Huh. And wouldn't you know there's a pillar in the way? Could be the fire over there. But that's neat that it's the kind you can move around. It seems to be live. It's just 8:23. Yeah, it's live right now. So, does it have audio? It's got a volume button. I just don't think so. So that's interesting there. So let's pray for Heartland and those communities, Wilsonia and everything else at risk. The East Side, their meetings about Fairview, I can't remember which little area that is looking pretty good too in the Kern River corridor. They did really good work with backfiring there as well. So Delilah, look out. Doesn't show flames beyond the ridge yet. So Blue Mountain Kern now does show, and it's looking almost due northeast. Let's take a look. This is our 3-hour time lapse. Cogito's here. Oh, hey. Hey, Cogito. Cogito says, end of this season. We're getting more humidity the next couple of days, so it'll get a sucker punch, but season ending won't be, of course, till the rain and the snow. But I'm talking about their behavior. The Windy and the K&P were super polite. You see the monument and the McFarland kind of roared to life and took off immediately and said, so long, suckers, when the lightning hit it. And the K&P and the Windy sat up on the top of the mountain, and the other smaller ones that they did contain really early on, and said, you guys gonna do anything? For about a week. It stayed within the aircraft retardant cage that was splashed around it. Like, you guys gonna do anything? You guys can take all the shots you want. First 2 rounds, I'm gonna put my hands behind my back. Go ahead and attack. Go ahead. You guys gonna do anything? And unfortunately, they didn't have enough resources. There were like less than 200 people on the K&P and the Windy, as far as I remember. They had to call in Rocky Mountain hot shots, and they weren't going to arrive for a week. The fire was eating popcorn and saying, oh, that's okay. We'll just chill here at the top of the mountain. We'll wait. And it took about a week for them to break off the top of the mountains and merge. And then, even though we saw them rampage and get crazy, mostly the smoke blanket sitting in the valley areas moderated the activity in the lower elevations, and we just saw the peaks blazing. And every time that it wanted to make a hard push somewhere, it kind of gave up and said, "Oh well, the wind's changing. We'll just have a nap." So, really, polite fires. They also politely stopped right up against the fire lines of the last year's Castle Fire to the north, and did the Midnight Miracle thing where they could burn the vegetation in that powder keg off when the winds were nice and mild south of Camp Nelson. So the powder keg scenario is probably not going to happen. Awesome. Really, really good help in a way from Mother Nature with the wind conditions. We'll take it. It hasn't been a cakewalk, but they've pounced on every opportunity and done an amazing job saving what they could. So, we'll take it. Oh, that's city lights. That's beautiful. How are you, Cogito? Did you see my yesterday stream with the I went to the scene of a 4-alarm fire last week that occurred in Portland, and kind of walked around videotaping. I was hoping you'd be around for that, but it's on yesterday's stream if you wanted to rewind it. I don't think Yosemite Lakes is showing fire. I think that's something else. There's not much to see other than the mesmerizing Tobias Peak 1 and 2, and we can do an hour of Bear Mountain Fresno. Remember, this one's always really super zoomed, so don't worry too much about the flames looking close in Bear Mountain Fresno. Oh, well, bye then, I guess. Thanks for dropping in. And hey, John, how are you? Yeah. It's I think it is Firefighter Remembrance Day, isn't it? Isn't it Bell Day? They had the ceremonies this morning at 9. I'm getting my days confused. Oh yeah, city lights. Okay, so let's go and look at Tahoe area. It's got to be scary. The view from Visalia is you can see the fire over on the hills. That's the Colville Mountain 2 cam. We'll go look at the Caldor and see if we have any more videos to round up. Because remember, I'm supposed to not be talking. God, I'm breaking my rules. Husky, we're not supposed to use language like that. It's supposed to be kid-friendly, but oh my god. I alerted you so you could correct. Oh my gosh. Oh my god, we have a rogue mod in the house. So, use language that is appropriate near an 8-year-old. Whoa, there's a massive cricket. Some sort of an insect on the lens. I was wondering why it was out of focus. It's trying to focus on a cricket. Looks like it's in... Looks like... Is that a cockroach? It could be a cricket. Whenever something lands on a camera lens right in front of it, I don't know what to make of that insect. Is it a locust? It's probably a locust. When there's something close, sometimes these cameras automatically try to focus on it. I'm sure it's a locust. Because you know what? It's 2020 and 2021 are just cursed. You know, we've got locusts would just kind of be the icing on the cake. Yeah, it's still there, just kind of chilling on the lens. Okay, that's preventing us from having a good focused view of the fire, but alright, we'll take a trophy screenshot of that one. There we go. I'm going to put that in my Hall of Fame of the birds that photobomb the cams and random insects. Let's see, what's the best frame? That's a good one right there. Oh yeah. I know it's not locust country, but I'm just saying this is biblical, the disasters we've had the last couple of years. I wouldn't be surprised. Just like Mulder, toads just fell from the sky. You know, this last couple of years have been biblical. Let's look at oh right, we were gonna check Tahoe. I looked throughout the day. Sierra Tahoe cam looked pretty decent. Leak Springs couldn't even see a fire. That was just awesome. Let's go and check on things. Big Hill is nice and quiet. Leak Springs has just got something in the distance. Sierra Tahoe, just minor stuff in the distance. Let's do a 3-hour time lapse at Sierra Tahoe. Which part of biblical? You know, the plagues and the disasters and yeah. I mean, we had COVID, the plague, and epic, gigantic disasters, biblical type floods almost, coming in portions of Europe, and excessive heat, the likes of which Canada hasn't ever really seen before in recent modern history. Massive earthquakes. Yeah, Revelation-esque. You know, that kind of thing. Old Testament-esque as well. It's, you know, it's just pretty harsh. Let's go to, volcanic. We've had some pretty serious volcanic activity and some good earthquakes. Let's see. I heard that there is a volcano called Volcano, like VUL, volcano. It is where the word comes from. It's borrowed from Latin, so the Latin speakers, Roman/Etruscan types, named that volcano, and they observed it in the ancient past, as well as Etna, Vesuvius, and Stromboli. And so they're all kind of near each other by Sicily. So volcano hasn't done anything really in the 20th century, and it's just they've gone to alert yellow. They've gone to alert yellow yesterday, so that could possibly erupt. That thing's been asleep for a better part of a century. Kind of interesting that the Canary Islands happens at the same time. I don't know how connected the plate is. the North Africa plate meeting the Mediterranean, bumping into the Eurasian, blah, blah, blah thing. I don't know if the Canaries are even remotely related to it. I just find it odd. The Canaries haven't done much for 100 years either. Earth is very active right now. It's kind of restless. So looking at Sierra Tahoe, let's see if we have a good sunset. Let's do a 6-hour and see what the sunset was like. This is the best cam, the Zephyr, Nevada, Big George Adventures cam. Smitty says praying mantises are good to have around. They equal less bugs. Those things are insane, though. They're little insect world assassins. Did you ever watch Netflix's Marco Polo? Okay, it's a very adult kind of a show, but it showed how they used to train praying mantises to like fight each other in little bowls in ancient China. And the kung fu style developed from it. They are little martial artists and fearless little guys. I was once chased around my aunt's house by a praying mantis. Like it walked in through the screen door. I was like, "Oh, let me help you." It raised its arms and chased me around the living room and into the back bedroom. Like it wanted my blood. It wanted to get up on my foot and attack my ankle. That's what it tried to do. It was on my sock, and it was just slashing at my leg. And I ran from it, and it fell off my leg, and it pursued. Those things are aggressive, and I'm sure people have died from them. Somehow. Maybe if they attacked in numbers, you don't know what they could do. They probably take over the world if they. The fact that they haven't is probably just because they're solitary. But I mean, they're pretty insane little guys. Like they have perpetual rabies. All right, and you know what they do is they grab their males and they bite their heads off and chew. I mean, they're insane. Can you imagine if insects could attain like human height? Just how? Well, you know what? They actually did make a movie about that. I bet that's basically the whole like nightmare scenario that they based Starship Troopers on. Just watch that and you'll get an idea. Thank goodness gravity is such that they can't achieve a greater body size than they pretty much have already. But can you imagine? There used to be scorpions the size of cars when Earth's gravity and such was different, and when not really gravity, but when there's shallow seas that supported that. Like holy mackerel, that's about as big as they could get. But can you imagine that? Okay, going back. Hey Doc says the weather forecast is favorable for the Caldor fire. Yes, it is looking good for the north. That's bright light. Let's go into dark mode. Okay. Dry and mild conditions will prevail through early this week. A developing trough will bring a slight uptick in winds on Monday. Monday/Tuesday afternoon, with slightly stronger gusts possible Wednesday. Peak gusts will mainly be in 20 to 30 miles an hour range. We will see some cooling, higher humidity, and chances for showers, with middle into the end of the week with further cooling possible going into next weekend. Hopefully we get the showers. This goes for Tahoe Basin, El Dorado National Forest, Sierra Foothills, and eastern Sacramento Valley. Tonight, sky, weather, here, clear, haze, and smoke. Wind temperature, valleys 30 to 40, mid-slope 41 to 51, 24-hour trend, little change. Max humidity, valleys 54 to 64%, mid-slope 27 to 37, 24-hour trend 13%, drier, 20-foot winds. Valley slope, west winds 6 to 11 miles per hour in the evening, becoming downslope 2 to 5 miles per hour. Ridge top, southwest winds 5 to 15 miles per hour. Haines index 4 to 5. Sorry. I just have to have fun with that. So that's your forecast for tonight for the Caldor fire area. Now, did we miss any other videos? A day ago, so we don't have any new videos for Sequoia Kings National. I already read you guys the windy update, didn't I? Nope, that was 1 hour ago. Yeah, 1 hour ago they issued the evacuation warning. It's now just a warning for California, Hot Springs, and Pine Flat. But remaining in mandatory evacuation is White River Summer Home Tract, Sugarloaf Sawmill, Sugarloaf Mountain Park. And prior evacuation orders other than these remain in effect. So roadblocks will be at M50 at the Hot Springs Ranger Station, stopping northbound traffic. So yeah, you have to be a resident. That's for sure. So let's look back at what Tobias Peak. See if it's aflame. We're doing okay. Yeah, it's flaming up good. The whole landscape. Like I said though, with Tobias Peak 2, it's looking to the southwest and could be zoomed in quite a bit. We just don't know. Let's do a 3 hour. Yeah, I'm resting my voice, yeah. Great auto voice. Thank you, I've been practicing. Oh, hey, Big Dog, hello. Big Dog. Yeah. Smitty says some people, sometimes a mantis will take to a person and like to be petted. That's a trick. That's a dirty trick, Smitty. Don't try to pet praying mantises, kids. Don't try that at home. You'll lose a finger. It'll run off with your fingernail as a trophy and lift it up high above its head and mount it on the wall and say, "Ha! Ah, I decapitated that human's finger." It'll show it off to all of its friends. And then where will you be? Then where will you be? Oh, that's even the beaver mafia doesn't mess with the mantis. They have an uneasy truce, All right. If you guys don't know what the beaver mafia is, the mafia of the beavers, they make people pay protection money, and if they don't, they start fires, which they did in Oregon, 2 weeks ago. They chewed down a tree, and it fell on a power line, and it lit Multnomah County on fire, east of Corbett by Multnomah Falls. And it was obvious that somebody didn't pay the protection money, but I'm sure everybody from Bend to Astoria is now forking it over because they mean business. Dark, dark business. So let's go to video roundup time. Did we have, probably was a Caldor meeting. Let's see if we've got a monument fire. That would be or maybe there's a Dixie. Let's do Dixie first. National Forest. I think it's their night for a video, right? Nope. It's a good little poster. That reminds me of the 1960s type posters and novels. Wow. This is a good infographic explaining where the heat sources and such still are. It says a map showing infrared data at this scale can be misleading. Each dot represents a single heat source, but on the ground they aren't nearly as big or as concentrated. That's because the Dixie fire is almost 1 million acres in size. Remember, kids, that's larger than Rhode Island. Even though a lot of individual hotspots appear on the map, they are not covering as much of the landscape as you might think. That's what I did once when the Dixie fire was first starting out, is I was explaining level of zoom and how it can be super misleading. You can do this. You zoom out a little bit, and the MODIS and the VIIRS, the the snowflake is always going to be one size on the map so that you could see that it's there. You're supposed to zoom in to get the details. And as you do, it becomes apparent that not that much of the landscape is actively on fire. And as you zoom even closer, you know that the center of the snowflake is the margin of its error. There's always a circle around it. It's like the baby bottle nipple. You know, the baby bottle, the nipples in the front. That's the margin of error for that snowflake in the center right there. So, you know, if you zoom, the more you zoom out, the bigger the individual hotspot areas look like. And that's great. Somebody had texted me their own app on their phone, and when they had zoomed out, it had a crazy misleading thing that showed the Dixie fire as being gigantic when, well, it wasn't at the time. But when it was something like this, it looked like it was more like this. And unfortunately, well, it did grow in size. But that's a very good explainer, and I'm going to share that on my thing there. But it also goes to show just how dang big the fire is, and that they're running out of wall size to blow. They can make the maps big for the community meeting, and they can stand in front of them, but they're running out of walls that big to mount the map on. So there's an operational update for today, 11 hours ago. Might as well watch it.
I'm Dan Gustafson, Planning Operations with Great Basin Team 3, and this is today's operational briefing. Starting in Branch 13, the suppression group yesterday was spread out through the areas of Juliet and Division Papa. We've got those folks strategically placed completely through that line. They've got a couple missions. They're ready for initial attack if something new were to happen or the fire picks up, anything like that. Those folks are ready to go, including dealing with service calls, which is a smoke check. Last night, end of shift in the Wilson Lake area, we got one of those calls. We were notified from some of our cooperators and the public that, hey, they could see some fire smoke. Something was going on. We sent folks down there. It was well interior, but they were able to, with the engine crew we sent down there, knock that fire down and just make that, I'd say a nuisance smoke report in there, make it go away. Additionally, these guys, what they're doing is they're mopping up and patrolling that line. So daily, that's what we got going on in there. We also have a suppression repair group with a lot of work focused on forest and national park, local stakeholder designated areas for repair work that we want to get after first due to local priorities. So a lot of that's going on in the Alaska National Park area as well as the Alaska National Forest target areas. So for suppression repair, that's where that work's being focused. When you move over into the Branch 16 area, again, we've got Division Sierra Uniform, Whiskey, and Zulu. So that's a big piece of ground. And again, we've had a suppression force there that today their mission is going to be spread out along there, ready for any initial attack, as well as any mop-up and any needs where the fire picks up as the heat of the day comes through. The repair work going on in these areas, again, are in these targeted primary areas that we'd like to initiate and begin our focus on, but they're not the only areas. Everything's important, but these are the primary targets that we're going to start with. And that's in the Silver Lake area. There's some work going on in the Butte Lake area, and that's where a lot of that work is being focused. To finish off, Branch 18, the CAL FIRE contingent, our cooperators over there, they've got full control in that area, and they're doing the same thing. They have suppression folks dealing with nuisance smokes, hazard tree mitigation, and they also have a contingent that is doing the suppression repair, and they're stretched out in this Branch 18 area all the way through here on all of the CAL FIRE state land, DPA, and private land. That's what we're looking at for today.
Yay. Man, I hope they get some moisture and some. Hey, I turned off autoplay. You stupid Facebook. It doesn't obey my wishes. Okay, now that was the West Zone update. That was 11 hours ago. Let's see what the East Zone was. That was.
My name is Brian Elam.
That was just 20 minutes ago. All right, let me update the message. So we have the East Zone update 20 minutes ago. Yay. This guy's good at explaining stuff too, but I don't know why they film in the dark. This is the most abysmal lighting, just like at the Caldor. They could use some light here.
Good evening. My name is Brian Elam, and I'm here again with you for the Dixie Fire evening briefing. And I am the planning ops section chief for the Dixie Fire and the Southern Area Gold Team here on October the 3rd. So we'll start down here in Division Whiskey. Everything is starting to move to the east. Here in the Meadow Valley, folks continue to work in there and finish buttoning that stuff up. Focus on getting in here towards DP 245 and catching some roads and up around the Butterfly Valley Botanical area. As they continue to work, they got a good bit of work still to do in here to get to division break, where Uniform continues to work this area and tidy up the hand lines and dozer lines here towards Taylorsville. For those that have been following for a couple of days, we noticed that we still got the black in here on the Devil's Punch Bowl. That is looking super good. Another dry day today, so we're still having some residual heat pop up here out in the valley and around the perimeter where the sun is exposed to that ground, and just bringing some little pockets of heat back to life that are buried in that dirt, and guys out there are cleaning that up. Over here in Division Romeo, work continues down the Grizzly Ridge from 606 down and in here on Squirrel Ridge Road, I think it was called. They did get a couple of hand crews inserted down in here in this maze of dozer line. Got an archaeologist with them today, just real sensitive area that they're making sure that they get that fixed and corrected. They don't have any machinery in there because of the stuff, the archaeological stuff that they're finding, and don't want it to get too disturbed. Other than that, here in Quebec, they have finished up this repair work coming into the division, and all this Quebec equipment is moved up in here into Oscar towards the Walker Fire. In here above 620, working up here towards Papa, and out towards DP 602, where you have the Papa resources working out the Last Chance Road. Still moving that heavy debris around the exclusion zone. Got a couple more days, but other than that, they're looking good, working out towards the Black Mountain communication site. Working in here south of the Milford Spot, this whole area we call the Milford Spot on this south side, working in here and across the top. Up here in November, his guys are working on the north side of the Milford Spot, working down in here toward just a maze of dozer lines and hand lines in here. Continue to work, going to be there a while. We did get some extra machinery up in here in November on 28N03 Road, where that heavy timber continues to be processed. It was damaged by the fire and was cut and pushed and piled and all that kind of stuff. Getting it cleaned up where they can get the soils fixed there, just above Antelope Lake. As we come back around, starting to look at some stuff in here that we've kind of been ignoring for a while that hasn't been priority, but starting to get a feel for what else we've got. 460-some thousand acres in there. It takes a while just to find some of those lines that are in there. We've had a few questions here in fire camp about the smoke that you're seeing in the air, and that smoke is coming off a fire down south in the Sequoia National Park area. So that smoke is getting a lot of vertical lift with this dry air that we've got lost up in the atmosphere, and as that smoke cools off, it lays back down and settles back in. So we're seeing some of that outside. Also, you've seen this blue dotted line here on the map, and that's our TFR. So if you're not familiar with flight stuff, that's a temporary flight restriction. That means no aircraft but fire aircraft can fly within that zone without approval from the helibase. Sometimes that is granted with permission. for special emergencies, but most of the time, all aircraft have to fly around those blue dotted lines. And that includes drones. We had several personal drones out here within the fire perimeter today, and that just really shuts things down. Obviously, with you're fighting fire and you've got helicopters and airplanes, things like that up in the sky, it is much more critical. We are still flying aircraft in here, and whenever we see a drone or have a report of one, it shuts the whole air operation down. So not only is it shutting us down from operational, it's also against federal rules. So keep the drones out of the sky, and you'll have a lot easier day if you're out there flying. Just come outside of those zones, fly it all you want to, or wait till the TFR is done if you want to look at what some of that looks like. As soon as that TFR is listed, you're free to fly wherever. Thanks, and have a great day here at the Dixie Fire.
Good morning, Mark Jamison, Operations Section Chief here on the Monument Fire for the Southern Area Red Team. So operations base all their actions on predicted weather, which drives the fire behavior. So we still have this drying trend for the past 6 days since we've gotten some rain. The rain was very helpful, helped us finish working on trying to get lines around it and keeping an eye on things. But all these days it gets a little bit drier and the fuels are reacting more, so we're seeing more smokes. And as it goes, and tomorrow's the real test because you got everything, a little bit higher winds, lower humidity, higher temperatures, and all those things they're not in the critical burning conditions where it turns red, but they're all three things are right on the edge of that red. So we're keeping a close eye. And based on that, up here in the northeast corner of it, we're still continuing mop up and suppression repair up in this northeast corner. We're keeping an eye on what's on the west bank of the North Fork of the Trinity River. Keeping a close eye on that. Fire's just smoldering and creeping. It's not really moving around much, but it's still present. So we're keeping an eye on that, you know. But up in here, it's all rocky terrain. There's previous fire scars. There's very little fuels. So it's down here in these river bottoms that we're concerned about keeping an eye on it. Suppression repair continues, and as we're working around our suppression repair, we're finding more hose lays and pumpkins and pumps laying out there that we're backhauling and bringing all that equipment back to our caches so to get ready for the next fire, or if we need it again, although we're maintaining a cache on the fire line up here at the north end, because if anything was to break out, we'll have a lot of material right there ready to use. In interior, and we know in this, In this area here, we're getting a lot of smokes, and we're getting a lot of the public reporting them. We're keeping a close eye on them. If you report them, if you see them, we'll make sure we're looking at it. But we're working on the road repair, hazard tree removal, making sure there'll be safe access for the public after we leave. Down here in the southwest corner, the suppression repair is going big, but they're also patrolling, finding a few smokes every day on mopping those up. Patrol and mop up, and up in here, especially working on that suppression repair. There's a lot of fire lines put in that didn't make the map. We're finding those and putting those in good shape as best we can. Plus keeping an eye on these corners up here. This whole north end is out into a previous big fire scar, and like I said, it's rocky terrain, not much fuels, so the fire's not doing a lot, but it's still smoldering and creeping, so it's moving like that much a day. So we'll watch it. We got air attack up and helicopters to use if we need them. So that's about all I have for today.
Yeah, I saw him using arrows before to point, and they weren't fletched, but I saw at the end, the little tip where you notch the arrow with the notch in it. And so I was kind of worried. I was kind of wondering, is that a crossbow bolt, without fletching? He was holding one that was, sorry, my voice is failing. He was holding one the other day that was a bit shorter, and he's got a full-blown arrow in his hand now. A target tip on it. And that's a significantly long one. That's for a pretty deep draw. My arrows are pretty short. And then again, I have a draw length of like 23 inches. So I'm really small. So we've seen a variety of pointers that have been interesting. That's one of the classics there, an arrow. The other lady at Sequoia National Park, I think it was, she had a ballpoint pen. She had a sweet type of a Bic that had a gel. I have that type of pen. It has a gel tip to it. Yet it's smooth and it rolls like a ball. In blue, we've seen the classical laser pointer a couple of times, but that screws up the camera, so they usually avoid that. And we've seen a couple of folded up envelopes. One guy used his own cell phone to gesture at the map, which made me frightened for his cell phone because he kept sticking his pointer finger out, and I thought he would drop it. That was the gentleman on the Caldor fire. Other classical pointers we've seen, your run-of-the-mill pencils and such. We've seen rolled up maps as a pointer, and the best though I think is the fly swatter. I don't know that we can beat that one. Arrow comes pretty close. We could file that one under odd, but fly swatter I think is the winner of the contest. That on the Antelope fire was pretty dang hysterical. That he will never live that down. The rubber ducky antenna. Now that was a good one too. We've seen a couple of antennas on the Windy fire. It's like they actually just unscrewed it off of their baofangs or something and just sort of gestured around with that. So yeah, I think this is a runner-up though. The arrow is right underneath the fly swatter. I think the antenna must be number 3. But it's great. Let's I'll read you now the monuments update. We have green air quality across the board. When's the last time you saw that in California? At least in the northern portions. That's incredible. Let's go to the monument fire update that was issued. Oh, that's about the same time that video came out. I don't think I have to really read anything. Temperature will be in the upper 80s with minimum relative humidity around 15%. Continued hot and dry tomorrow conditions, but breezier with southwest winds developing afternoon. So it's getting hotter, and the fires are still active, but there may be some rain coming down by the end of the week. So fingers crossed for that. So he did a good job explaining it. I'll just share that public to this new Facebook account thing I've got. Now there's a little video. How long is it?
We have 3 shower units out here, and we provide...
It's less than a minute, so we'll watch this. This is the Monument Fire camp tour.
We have 3 shower units out here, and we provide showers for all the firefighters, all the fire personnel. We clean them after each use, sanitize them twice a day, keep them nice and clean. So we go in with the hose, spray down the shower, get all the crevices, hit it with some bleach water in the mop, and mop it down. I think it's nice to be able to provide a nice clean shower when you're away from home for months at a time. You know, it's the one good thing at the end of the night you can always look forward to. And it's nice that we can provide a nice clean one.
It's really awesome to be able to be clean before you go to bed, especially with the poison oak out here. You just feel more energized the next day. I really appreciate it, and I thank them for their service to provide such awesome service.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of unsung heroes, not just fighters out there, but the hero helpers. Now, this is an interesting choice of mask. I'm kind of frightened of it. I kind of like my mask, my cat mask. I have a smiling kitty cat face on mine, which kind of made me a legend. Wandering around the Pacific Northwest, I kept getting photographed and showing up on Twitter and stuff. But the whole skulls thing and different colored ones, it reminds me of the horrific Strange Dumbo scene from Dumbo, where the pink elephants turn into skulls and stuff, like elephant heads and skulls, and it's the same color scheme. So I'm a little weirded out by that. But this is a good way to clean a shower. I think I need a spray pump like that. That would reduce scrubbing so much. Can you imagine if you had a spray pump of your bleach and then you had a spray pump of your rinse water? That's a great idea. I think I'll do that. So that's pretty cool. Now let's look at, where do we have the McCash and McFarland? That one is at Siskiyou, isn't it? I keep forgetting. It's a bandana. Yeah, but no, not the rogue. No, what am I? I always mix this one up. It's not Shasta Trinity. Wow, guys, see how tired I am. It's not Sequoia, Tahoe. Let's just scroll and see if we have videos. This is kind of the easy button here. Lassen, Sequoia. Forest Service, Sequoia. Well, maybe the whole flipping on all notifications wasn't such a good idea after all. Caldor, Siskiyou. Siskiyou County Sheriff's Office. I thought it was Siskiyou. Am I losing my mind here? I'll just do the cheat. Monument. That is Shasta Trinity. Yeah, it is. Oh, Klamath. Sorry, guys, it's Klamath. That's the one national forest area that I just keep forgetting about. Okay, so 3 hours ago, there was a river complex update paying tribute to the firefighters who have sacrificed all in the line of duty. 215 firefighters became a permanent part of the National Memorial today during a televised event at the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation in Emmitsburg, Maryland. This morning in Etna, California. California Interagency Incident Management Team 15 took time to honor these heroes. Thank you to team members and military veterans Tom Stokesbury, Ben Cassell, Jim Niss, Paul Zaire, who took part in a very special flagpole during today's tribute. Yeah, that's a sad day of remembrance. We do have a 10-hour ago update on the river. We might as well, and an 11-hour ago update on the McCash. So let's go ahead and watch these.
Good morning. My name is Tom Browning. I'm Operations Section Chief for California Incident Management Team 10. We've assumed command of the McCash fire. Today it's Sunday, October the 3rd. The fire is currently 93,514 acres at 61% contained. As we look at the map, you'll see all the black line around here is our containment. It's kind of around the infrastructure, the homes, the values at risk. Out in the wilderness area, we still have some uncontained line. We're monitoring that every day, and we've had no growth in the fire. So it's kind of hung up in the rock scree that's up there, and where it runs out of fuel, and we're getting troops in to make sure that stays in check. A little update on what's occurring. We have contingency lines up near the town of Happy Camp. Those are all being repaired with assistance from our resource advisors and equipment we have there just to stabilize the ground and make sure we don't have any erosion or anything to happen when the rains do come. In the suppression area, we've kind of taken our 6 divisions and put them under 2 leadership groups, a North Division and a South Division, and they're overseeing all the operations that are going on. Most of that is just a patrol and mop-up, but we're also looking at hazard trees, backhauling any hose that's no longer needed, and cleaning stuff out there. We still have a lot of folks on the ground working, so we appreciate your cooperation as you drive through the area to be cautious of that. And if you have any questions at all, please contact our information number. Thank you very much.
Cool. Now, his audio was nice.
Every day?
Excuse me. His audio was nice and clear, but he was using his projection voice. And look at the cute little cell phone on a stick. Cell phone tripod apparatus right there. I have that adapter. But the cool thing is you see the little the shadow of the wire coming out. That's connected to his lavalier mic right on his shirt. It's blended in really nicely because it's a black on black kind of deal. So he's crystal clear, but you got to remind your speakers, don't shout when you've got the lav mic. You can just use a normal talking voice. So his audio really peaked and fried out there. But that's what would help, is to lav mic everybody, because we have that eternal problem of them not holding the mic close enough to their mouth or this and that. If they would get wireless ones, they could do a lav mic for every single speaker, and they could just walk up on stage. So hopefully for community meetings they get more fancy toys like that. But that's a pretty good job with a cell phone and a lav mic. I'm looking to get some of those for my interviews of people. So it's pretty funny that this shows up in the frame. So that's awesome that things are looking much better on the McCash too. So that was 11 hours ago. We have a general river complex update from 10 hours ago. Let's watch this.
Good morning, I'm Scott Grassmick, Operations Section Chief for Interagency California Incident Management Team 15 with your daily update on the river complex. So we're going to go ahead and start off on Branch 10 at the Cronin Fire. That is all contained. We're starting to start suppression repair operations in there, road grading, fixing and rehabbing of dozer lines, and that entails cleaning up, covering them up, and trying to return it back to its previous state as best we can from fire suppression operations. Moving into Branch 10 in Division Union, we were able to fly this lower section down here by Dee's Peak in between the break and where the black line ended from yesterday's shift with IR. We had 4 days of no heat, so we're able to add some black line containment to the map today. Moving into Division Kilo, up around Callahan and Gulch and High Point, in what we're calling the Eddy Group. Suppression repair activities were started the last 2 days on this dozer line in here, in hand line, and those operations are almost complete. We're expecting those to be completed in the next 2 days. Moving over into Division Lima, out here towards Callahan and Lee's Meadow, crews continue to patrol the area, backhaul equipment, and suppression repair operations, like I explained on these other two divisions, is taking place and continuing. Moving over into Division Mike, Sugar Hill, Mill Creek area, crews yesterday inserted just below Helispot 17, and with the aid of Type 1 helicopters, we were able to seek out any interior heat and start mopping all those things up and securing it really, really well. We had very little smoke on the division yesterday, and operations are proceeding. We were actually able to add some more containment line up here to just below the Craggy Peak area. Coming into Division November, Eagle Creek Benches, Tangle Blue Spike area, Tangle Blue Lake, we are able to continue building direct line to the north towards Division Mike, and we have crews building direct lines to the south towards this Bluff Spike area. Last night we had UAS operations with the drone for IR capability, and they're able to give us really good intelligence on where the actual heat was left out there, and the crews are going to seek that out today. Coming into Division Oscar down in Minnehaha Creek in the Eagle Creek Loop area, crews continue to reinforce and strengthen our control lines with the aid of Type 1 helicopters. That'll be progressing through today's shift as well. And then I'll come down into Division Quebec. Crews have started rehab suppression areas and all the dozer lines around Trinity Center, and they've been scouting, we've been moving equipment, and today's operation entails a big convoy of dozers and excavators to start really focusing on the suppression repair efforts down around Trinity and getting that buttoned up before we the expected rain towards the end of the week. And then lastly, the Sugar Pine Butte area, we sent some scouts in there from the Pineville Hotshots to start looking at a plan to contain this towards the end of the week. Weather dependent, of course. We can't spike crews out and stuff when the rain, so we'll focus on that. But that's been patrolled by helicopter the last 2 days and hasn't shown any growth. Division Romeo and Division Sierra and Branch 5, we just continue to monitor and patrol that and looking at places to start inserting crews for suppression repair. And that will be your update for today, October 3rd. You guys have a good day.
Okay, that's looking really good too. Great. That's where they had the most rain of all the fires, pretty much. It just dumped rain. Last 2 rain events. Stop autoplaying. I really don't want to go into a random music video. That's what Facebook wants us to do. Yeah. So, sorry about that, guys. Now, he was just using his finger, and the prior gentleman was using a rolled-up brochure, but we continue to see a very interesting assortment of pointers for the maps. I still think that we should all hand them the little pointing, like, pink finger at the end of a stick. That would be just the funniest thing, I think. Now, my voice is still really ragged and kind of failing me. I'm trying to go through video roundup. Is there another one that I've missed? I think the antelope is sitting at 95% contained. They have 70-ish% containment on the river, 61% on the cache, and they're prepping for more moisture. The others notifications 13 minutes ago. But didn't we watch this? No, this is new. Okay. So we get an East Zone update for, we didn't watch this, right? The Dixie East Zone? We watched the earlier
Good evening. My name
Yeah, we did. Sorry. All right. Yeah, we saw that.
is Brian Elam, and I'm here again
All right.
with you.
So what's funny is in the notifications area, even though that was a full 37 minutes ago, it just said there was an update 14 minutes ago because apparently Facebook can't tell time. So we had the Windy Fire public meeting. Is there anything I really forgot? It's a cool propaganda poster. Um, looking back at the chat, you guys are talking about pets and pet rescue. That's cute. Does anybody have a specific fire that they need me to look at? Read the InstaWeb. If not, I think we should just look at the cams. The crazy Tobias Peak stuff is still going on, although we can't tell how close this huge flare-up, this group torching is, because we don't know the zoom level of the camera. And the other Tobias Peak one is kind of looking off in the distance. So the Windy is easier. They're having an easier time with the Windy than the KNP, but we saw on the KNP, don't worry too much. Don't worry too much about the heat detections near Buck Rock, because we just had that confirmed basically by their update that now that the wind is in their favor, they're lighting the landscape on fire southwest of the Mineral King Road, and the wind's blowing away from Buck Rock, which is all going according to plan. So this is their firing ops. That's doing wonderful. We don't have the ability to look at anything else, so we don't know what's going on in here, but hopefully things are going okay in the Kauai down there. And just looking at various updates, I think we've gone through most of this. Yeah, thanks, Derek. Thanks for the well wishing. We've had an insect sitting on this camera. It's still there. The locust is still perched on the Colville Mountain 2 camera, making it all blurry, which is all kinds of funny. The Tahoe cams, Sierra Tahoe is just a little tiny blip in the distance. Leak Springs, the fire's a blip in the distance. It's just wonderful. Let's go back down to Sierra in the Foothills set of cams. That's the wrong one. Meadow Lake. No, I'm still in the wrong area. Here we go. Buck Rock 2 and Buck Rock 1. It's just looking at their firing up that's going on, I bet. So this is a 3-hour time lapse, if it'll play nice. Now, between the hours of 10ish to 6 in the morning, the ISP randomly cuts off the internet as they're doing the big maintenance thing down the street with the new construction of the neighborhood. So that's why we can't have an all-night fire stream. I would put it on, and you lovely mods have volunteered and everything, but I would have to stay awake all night to reconnect it. And it would just be frustrating. It would start and stop. So as there's not much to look at or hear during the night, I don't think it's super important, especially with the weather being pretty calm. So does anybody have a specific fire question, or want me to read an update, or want to look at a specific cam, or, it's kind of like going once, going twice. I should rest my voice and go to bed. I still have the water damage from the leaky window situation, so I've been moving furniture around all day. Tomorrow, I don't know when I'll be live because I will be moving the computer, unplugging everything and moving the desk and everything aside so that the workmen can get at it. So it would be in the evening tomorrow at some point. I do have a Twitter. It's in the link of the video description. It's @Wildfires. I always tweet about whether or not I'm able to go live or not during the day. And I think if this is pretty much the situation, then we should kind of wrap this up, and I'll see you guys tomorrow then. This is day, 84 or something of my fire stream. I've been speaking for about 14 hours a day for almost 80 consecutive days. So my voice is destroyed. It's really painful to speak. I've been trying to rest it. But I keep breaking my own rule every time I go live. So thanks everybody who has supported me and helped keep the channel going. I would have had to stop after about 2 weeks. I've been doing this every day pretty much since July 14th. I would have had to stop after 2 weeks having no income, but you guys and your donations have kept me going, and I'll be here for the foreseeable future. Hopefully by Thursday the internet situation's sorted out and the workmen are done. Just fingers crossed. And I'm just hoping that the fires will, just give us all a break. God, I don't even know how I've had the stamina to keep doing this. People keep asking me how I do it. I'm not doing it well. I'm pretty ill. I'm pretty exhausted and sick. So, but your little pats on the head have kept me going, and I'm so proud of the little community we have here, giving people advance warning oftentimes when they need to evacuate, and answering the public questions, real firefighters in the chat, real meteorologists in the chat, providing the updates for people that don't have Facebook. So thank you so much, mods, and everybody for being here, helping. I'm real proud, and you guys should be too, at what we were able to accomplish here. We basically are doing the media and the government's job. Hopefully in the future they will do something like this. But we'll pick up the slack until things change. So, okay, I see no fire questions. Thank you everybody for being here. Unless 3, 2, 1. Does anybody have a question? I'll be happy to check anything. I think Tobias Peak is going to be okay because I think this cam is zoomed pretty far. I hope so, anyway. Smitty says this is my 60th day mark. Yeah, some of the mods have been here from the beginning. Some of them got burned out and went on to do other things. But yeah, thank you so much, mods. You have made this possible. I couldn't do without you, and the rest goes for your supporters. People have shared the stream. Please hit the like button. That helps the channel be like a trending channel that helps connect people with what they're looking for on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, and if you hit the ringing bell, you'll know whenever I go live, which is usually every 12 hours, except for this kind of maintenance period with my internet. If you don't want to know every single time that we go live, you can do the normal bell. If you don't want to know ever with notifications, you can turn the bell off, but the subscribe button will help you find the channel again. And please do share the links with anybody who may not know about the Fire channel that may need access to the information. So yeah, thank you everybody. We'll go back to 24-hour streams if I can. Hopefully by the end of the week, and if it's necessary. But I am feeling exhaustion and my throat's absolutely torn up, so I'm gonna end it now. Thank you all for being here. I'll continue to watch things tomorrow, and if there's an emergency, then I'll probably go live at that point. But hopefully, fingers crossed, things stay nice and quiet. Thanks for being here, and remember, guys, once you've done everything you can do, you made all your preparations, you can relax. So just relax, because you've done everything you can do. It's a bad habit to watch the cams and be driven crazy by them all night. As long as you're not directly downwind of the mega fire, you can go to sleep and just play the 12-hour time lapse in the morning. Don't let these cams turn you into an insomniac. Good night, everybody. J. Cat says what I see on the KNP does not look that good. You're late to the... Wait, what? What, J. Cat? Did you just do that to me? Did you just say what I see doesn't look good? Good night. No, 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 no. You don't get that. Explain. Explain. Rob, I already have one. I did the robotic voice, and all it did was make people unsubscribe. Literally. I have a running graph of the moments that people unsubscribe, and the robotic voice was like, I hate this channel now. Yeah, we did, J.E. Cat. I just explained how it was looking great here. What part of the KNP are you worried about? This is great. This is big happy face. This is their control. This is their backfiring. Now that they have downslope winds, this is Kings Canyon Road or whatever that is. They're doing a firing op based at Kings Canyon Road because during the day it's threatening Buck Rock Lookout, but now they have winds that are down canyon and down slope, so now they just lit up all their backfiring, and we had a 2-hour ago update explaining what it was. Yeah, I need to know. I can't go to sleep now. Like, if you're seeing a problem, I have to know what that problem is. I have to find out. I'm sorry, I accidentally hit a poll button. I don't know what that was. At 180 and 10 mile, where the heck is that? Can you give me a lat long, J.E. Cat? And I'll just plug it in. Add to the road overlay. Yeah, it's okay. Remember, this is the margin of error. Technically, that could be south of the highway. You see how the highway curves right there? Technically, it could be a heat detection from here. They could also be lighting fires on this side of the highway to burn up to the highway because it's nice and mild and favorable. I mean, 2 hours ago, they just gave us an update and said it was going great. Is there something I'm missing? Every single square is a margin of error, that big 5-mile square radius approximately. Use all the sat and road overlays on the address I posted. Oh, okay. All right, we'll look into it. I was so looking forward to ceasing speaking and going to sleep. All of a sudden, a shot of adrenaline. I don't think it's going well. What? What? Okay. Okay. All right. Let's take a look. Now this is a strange series of overlays here. There's Buck Rock Lookout. These are old. This is orange is 1 hour ago. Yellow is 1 to 6 hours ago. What's the thing we were supposed to look at? They fired this earlier, like to protect the area to the north, like days ago. If there's more wind tonight, there just could be some flare-ups. They've got a really good road here compared to other places. Look at these paved roads intersect. This is gives them good opportunity to do more elaborate firing and such. The only thing I'm missing is sleep, pretty much. Right, but that's where they're making their firing ops today. Right here. They described that they were going to fire this. This is Kings Canyon Highway, and now that the wind is going that direction, 2 hours ago they gave us the update here on Facebook. October 3rd, afternoon update posted, well, it's now 4 hours ago. The K&P complex has been active, but firefighters have not been observing extreme fire behavior. Aircraft was grounded due to visibility. Fire activity is moderate in the Squirrel Creek area near Oriole Lake Road in the south. The groves are not being negatively impacted. The tactical firing ops occurring in the northwest portion of the fire along Generals Highway down to Little Baldy Saddle are designed to protect the lodges and the recreational camps to the west of the highway. And that's ongoing. So what I did is Googled where's Little Baldy, and it was right here within the red. And so this is the area where they said they do their tactical firing, and it went red the moment at 8 o'clock hit, 7 or 8, which is when the winds changed to down canyon. So I think it's okay. We also see very moderate activity on the cams, considering when we look at Buck Rock and such. You know, we saw some on the ridge here, and we can go to 3 hour. It's not blowing towards it. See how it's blowing down canyon and away from Buck Rock in the opposite direction? Just right on schedule, the way that they wanted things to go. So we see a little bit of a wind shift in that very rear, you know. But in general, that's lining up with what they wanted, I believe. Yeah, I understand, J. Cat, and I like the fact you're a good, astute observer like that. I saw some up here though earlier, and the last couple of days. You remember that the heat detections are not fire trackers; they're just heat detections. So if more than 6 hours goes by, you have a blank spot, as if nothing has happened. It goes to gray, and let's just pretend that fire was in here. After 6 hours, it goes blank and clear again. It doesn't mean the fire is out there. It doesn't mean the fire didn't arrive there. It means that there's nothing to trigger the satellite again. So the moment you get wind or some new activity, it goes red again in a random different portion of the day. So see how these spots like in here are blank? The fire is in there. If you click on the perimeter, see how the fire is there. But the heat detection, it just means right in here there hasn't been a flare-up or significant change for more than 6 hours ago. So that's how the public can kind of read this stuff. And that's why it's so important to check with them to make sure as best we can what is a firing op versus what is natural progress of the fire. I think we have pretty dang mild weather for tonight. Next couple of days, there's not very good humidity recovery, but that will change. So hopefully, you know, fingers crossed, this will do good things for them. And this is the kind of thing where you could drive yourself crazy looking at the cams and the heat detections all night. But when there's nothing to monitor, like there's no radio, we don't have crazy wind forecasts, we don't have everyone nearby has been evacuated. I don't see a reason to stay up all night like on the other fires. Like sometimes I told the public, stay up, sleep in shifts, and monitor or something. You know, like communities downwind of the mega fires and red flag days. You know, it's not It's not like that. It's not like that now. Now people can go to sleep. You know, as long as you evacuated, you can go to sleep. Mild weather, mild wind. There's no lightning right now. Just stay vigilant in California in general because it's so dry. You know, the new fires are started by vehicles. The 40-ish acre and size ones. Be ready to go at a moment's notice just because it's a mega drought and it's now becoming Santa Ana season. But I feel good about going to sleep. And I don't feel like we have to have a 24-hour stream right now. So you guys, you mods, you know, don't get burned out. You guys need rest too. There's Blue Mountain Kern. We've seen a situation like this for quite a long time. But now that we're almost getting to 10 p.m., that's really when the internet starts screwing up. So I better wrap it up. Anybody else have any... Oh, yeah, if anybody else has a question, let me know. But J.E. Cat says, true, I found a solar farm. Lol. Yeah. Well, I did that too last year. I was a little bit concerned that McMinnville, Oregon had a fire, and it was their aluminum smelting plant or steel mill. That was a fun one. I had to check satellite, and that's what satellite is good for. Flip into that mode, you know. No, I'm not here, Cogito. I'm going to bed. You just came back? Why do you come back when I'm about to go to bed? Jeez. Okay, but for real, my voice is horrible right now. It hurts bad. So, good night, guys. Stay safe. Good luck. Tomorrow night, I think I'll have the ability to go live for a roundup around 9 p.m. Maybe. I'm doing serious manual labor and have friends moving pretty much everything in 3 different rooms to help fix their window. So I'll let you guys know on Twitter what the game plan is tomorrow. So thank you everybody who has subscribed and liked and shared the link and donated to keep us going. I don't work during these times. I just do fire stream. And thank you, mods. You guys are super, super awesome. Can't do it without you. Z time, yeah. Good night, guys, and good luck.